I gave y'all prophecies on my first joint, and y'all all lamed out. Didn't really appreciate it till the second one came out. So, hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spin Rack, and I use the Jay-Z quote to say I'm redoing my all splash pages video. Why would I do that? Because this is important. And if you watch the kayfabe guys, they gave you a wrong order of things, and he also did the Savage Dragon one. You can't include the Savage Dragon one in this. So I got 5, 3 that you've seen. I think I did 3, but I'm going through 5, and it's gonna be quick, right? We're gonna say sorry, y'all. The 2 best at it is MO Fanfare 29 and Thor 380. Then there's one really great one that's not covered here. A good one, which is it's gonna be another surprise for you guys. And then the last one is, well, I'm sorry to say, the Savage Dragon one might be better than the Death of Superman. But we're gonna go through these again, right? So you can see what happens when you do an all splash page thing, right? Now, a lot of people, I think the kayfabe guys, when they did theirs, they kind of were heavily critical on this, applauded this, and I'm not sure what they did with Superman, but I think I have one other that they didn't have, right? So we're going through this one, right? This was the shelved issue. Denny O'Neil shelved it because Byrne hadn't told him that he was doing an all splash. He knew the story, but he didn't know it was an all splash pages issue. This would be the equivalent of Byrne saying, hey, the plot is still there, but at the same time, he didn't get approved that it'd be all splash pages. Danny O'Neil was worried that Shooter was going to reject it, so he put it on the shelf. Byrne was like, all right, if you can't even get this by Shooter, you know, but even before we give it to him, I got a belt, right? So as Byrne left, the Superman was going. Obviously, Shooter decided that, hey, it'd be good to have another Byrne issue. And since it's printed on heavier paper, costs a little more money to Byrne. So, no pun intended, right? So here we go. This will be this will be Hulk 320, right? And we start out a terrible thing to waste, which of course is a thing to a mind is a terrible thing to waste. So I enjoyed this the last time I did it, so I'm doing it again with even more fervor. Right? So here we go. Right? And one of the key things here is one of the things that I showed you in my other video when I was mentioning what Kirby was doing. Kirby Splash Pages was like a freeze, like a slow motion type thing. If you think of a film, it's like something that you would stay on, like you're having like the Silver Surfer and Doctor Doom, Galactus and the Watcher, like things like that. He would kind of hold on these images, right? It wouldn't be, I don't think he would do his opening splash page would be action pack. His double splash page would be action pack. But in his regular stuff in the 60s, a lot of those would be moments, like big moments in the thing, which would be like, here's Ronin and the FF facing off against each other, or the first thing of the century, the big robot, stuff like that. So this plays to how Kirby used to play it, right? But we start with a quiet thing, and then Byrne has some captions here, and it also helps you to kind of stay with the page. And this is one of the things that you have to remember, right? I think I just did a video on Alan Moore, where Alan Moore would do, exposition dumps, but they would be in these large locales and stuff like that. He would get a lot of story here, and at the same time, it would keep you on this page, which basically is a page flip, right? You can almost quickly look at the page and go, but the captions keep you there. And so the pictures resonate, right? You see this Indian fellow right there, and we get the hint of what he feels, right? And he's waiting for something. And we see the Hulk jump in here. And this art is beyond, right? And at the same time, I don't know if Keith Williams inked the backgrounds, but it doesn't say it here, right? So the Hulk sees this creature, this person, and the Indian doesn't move, right? Now the Hulk at this point is raging in anger. He's just raging monster, and he hasn't. Who is it? Doc Savage has kind of overstimulated his mind, so all he is thinking about is rage. So at the same time, when Hulk got back, he was reacting to stuff with rage, and now that's even further. But now with Banner gone, he can't really, we were thinking that he can't think, but he can obviously fight, right? So he just deals with everything with anger. Byrne would describe it as Hulk being the Daffy Duck, not Daffy, Donald Duck, that deals with everything with anger, right? When he sees this creature, this guy here, right? And the Hulk reacts with anger, right? And he's ready to take this thing out, and he's trying to also get a reaction out of this person. And the Indian says, now, when I use the term Indian, there was also a term called Native American in this country that was for foreigners. So I would either use Indian or indigenous people. So if I take away the Indian term, we can go to indigenous, right? So I'll correct myself. But with Native, we're staying away from that, right? Right? So the indigenous person says friend. Now we know what this means more so in the Lean Wind Hulk. This was the big deal, that the Hulk, when he meets a friend, he would change his whole dynamic, and he would become, he almost, when Thunderbolt Ross reacted to the Hulk like he was a friend, the Hulk was like the happiest, doing everything for him, right? And Hulk almost died trying to save Thunderbolt Ross against the Gremlin, right? So Byrne said that's not his Hulk. It's not the goofy Hulk. This is the Donald Duck Hulk that deals with everything in anger, right? With Goofy, I would be silly. Now the Hulk, seeing this person say friend, is frozen. He still wants to react with anger. He is trying to bring his fist down, but something that he's forgotten, right? And he says, sit, and the Hulk listens, and he's relaxed. And this is the first, since he was freed, the first time we've seen him really relax. We've seen him intent on trying to figure out where he'd get bored and run away. But at the same time, this is the first time, so as a reader, I was just like, what the hell? I read the interviews. What's going on? And this is the best part of Byrne thing, where you kind of you're not supposed to follow the interviews verbatim. Like, it's not verbatim. You're not supposed to take it. I think there's a couple sites that have taken Byrne's interview about the Hulk and they dissected it, proving that he shouldn't have stayed on the Hulk. But looking at this issue, he should have totally stayed on the Hulk, right? But he obviously couldn't have done that with Shooter there, right? So instead of what everyone else has used by using their fists and Doc Simonson talking about trying to kill him, this person is using a tranquilizer, right? And he's like, it looks like the Hulk is thinking, but of course that's impossible, right? And actually, he says the target isn't actually the Hulk. The target's approaching right on schedule. So this person's not actually working on the Hulk, right? And the Hulk is actually thinking. And he's remembering, and Byrne has slipped in a Wolverine in the middle here, right? So he's actually not only a mindless beast, but it's something he's he's remembering stuff, right? And this is what he said he was having a hard time thinking, right? So we see someone coming, we won't get hit, and then we get cool comic book coloring to give you the mood of these guys in purple, right? As a solid color, which is cool. And then you see the background goes from this ground color to a deep red, right? That's really cool, right? The Hulk's getting choked, and Hammer and Anvil are back. Now, Byrne does something that Herb Trimpe would draw these guys almost as big as the Hulk. And Byrne kind of goes back to the Hulk being like astronomically big in comparison to like the Thing and other people, right? And he's trying to get him back to Avengers #1, where he looked like there. And Hammer and Anvil are about to take it to the Hulk, right? Then the Hulk reacts. Then Hammer is like, he shouldn't be able to do that, you know? He's supposed to be brainless. He said, even a bug will fight for his life, Anvil. They get off your flabby white butt before, right? So Hammer and Anvil are back, and someone shoots Anvil right in the face. And if Anvil dies, Hammer dies. The Hulk didn't even get to react, right? And I'm going through it quickly, but at the same time, we have these captions to slow us down for it to resonate with us, right? And they die. And it's actually Scourge, right? And now, I think there was some site that was like saying, all right, well, this was my first issue, because they always talk about Byrne saying the first issue is always some it's always the first issue for someone. The point of this is not that we need to find out the whole Scourge subplot, right? If you were reading the Marvel comics, there was Scourge subplots all around. And it was a mystery going through the comic book, so you weren't supposed to find out or understand the Scourge. It was something you read in like Captain America or Marvel Age. So this is a mystery that's going to be ongoing, so you're not supposed to find out that. And the Hulk is surprised, right? And every time I do this, there's always a bit that I have to add in there. And the Hulk says friend. And this is a big major point to say that the goofy Hulk is still somewhere in there. That portion of his personality, Byrne has not gotten rid of. He just finally neuro tranquilized enough where he can start thinking again, and he uses his head, and he misses his friend who calmed him down, right? So we have that. That is in style, in storytelling, done very nicely, right? Now, we're going to go to the Thor issue. I don't know if we're going to start moving that quickly, right? So Walter Simonson, thinking he wanted to do something bigger, and he remembered Byrne had done that. So he decided he wanted to do this, right? So we have the Tale of Ragnarok, Thor versus the Midgard Serpent, right? And at this point, Thor he can't die, but he has brittle bones, right? There's a whole Hella Curse subplot where he has been, every time he fights, he gets hurt more bones get broken, they don't heal, but he can't die. So it's like the comedy of terrible peril for Thor, and he knows this is where he dies. He knows he's going to die against the Midgard Serpent. It's already been foretold. So now he's in place where he's like, the Midgard Serpent knows that it's caught Thor at a weak point, so he decides to reveal himself, and Thor is going to have this big battle. Now this was, it says layouts, but it was closer to pencils. It was, the finishes by Sal Buscema, but at the same time, he didn't want Sal to lose money on this, so he drew it, and probably something close to breakdowns, but Sal still gets the regular finish rate, right? So they've met, and we get this amazing shot. Now, the cooler part about this is that there's a lot of dialogue here. And this is why this one works so well, because it's basically 22 panels. And you average that out, 4 to 5 panels a page. That could be 5 pages, that could be 4 pages, right? But to keeping the same aspect, keeping you here, there's a lot of dialogue here. And them having a talk, going back and forth. Right? And most of this dialogue in the page is from end captions, which is almost like I'm not sure if it's like a poetry type of thing that's going on here. And Thor strikes first. And we have John Workman doing great letters. This letter's always amazing. And Midgard servant Judgement is going into the ground. But at the same time, while he's going to the ground, he swings himself and hits Thor into a mountain. This is the other thing you have to remember. When they had in Secret Wars where Thor couldn't break through a mountain, like it's not much for Thor to do, right? So Midgard said, look at that mountain, it's destroyed, right? And he's like, all right, now I'm going to finish off Thor, and the legends will be true. Thor is ready to, to attack. Tosses Mjolnir right into his face. He's ready to go back again, right? Now see how quickly this goes? Well, for action-wise, you want it to slow down. So this is why you have a lot of dialogue, a lot of captions. Just so that, this is a portion where something visual, the script is not taking away from the visuals, right? It's always on the outskirts, around the edges, but it'll keep you on these pages. And the Midgard serpent is not ready to give up. The jaws of Jormungand is catch Thor. Thor's ready again, right? So here we have a more action pack, but the Byrne one came first. So this one he was the inspiration for all of it happened after him, right? The Kirby was the initial one who started utilizing them, but I think there was something that was said to him, and he kind of started to slow down, make big panels, right? And we have another face-off, and then Thor is like, wait a second, this is like, I've been played a mere player, but I have been out. Even though in Ragnarok I'm supposed to die, at this point I can't die. So at the same time, if I combine myself with my hammer, I might turn into a puddle, but at the same time I'll be able to stop the Midgard serpent, right? And then the Midgard serpent realized, hey, Thor is starting to glow. He's combining himself with his hammer. He's about to strike at the same time, right? And Thor sends himself off directly into him, emerging with his hammer, right? And they clash. And Thor has killed the Midgard serpent. His head is gone. And then Thor starts to fall back to the ground. And we see Jormungand is dying. Thor hits the ground and we see nothing. And this is the last panels, and he does that, able to, not be stuck into this. And that's what we're going to start to see in some of these other ones, where they're going to start to use panels at some point when you get to the end. So see how quickly that went, and see how slow. Well, I had to tell you more story. I think I told you a lot more story in that one. So now we're going to jump to something else, right? So, from the same idea, John Buscema was like, hey, all splash pages, why don't I do one of those? So he had an idea for a story, which is the Silver Surfer, and he decided he was going to do an all splash pages graphic novel, right? I'm not sure if the kayfabe guys got this, but during this period, John Buscema decided, I'm going back to inking myself. after Tarzan was one of the points where he inked himself. This is where he decided he was going to go back to inking himself. They got Stan Lee scripted, Silver Surfer selling, so that the Marvel has been flooding the market with Silver Surfer stuff, and at the same time, Tom DeFalco helped him out, John Buscema out with the plot. But Stan says here in his introduction that Big John wanted to do a story by himself, right? Created on his own, right? So we have the Silver Surfer, and Big John is back to doing one of the characters he did amazingly, and he's just soaring. This was like one of the ads. They utilize this page, and he sees these babes out in space, right? It can't be they're just sitting out in space. Of course, they're not what they seem, right? Now, John Buscema here is doing them just as plates. He said it's a struggle to try to keep the storytelling going, so he kind of just kept it as plates and allowed you, not trying to draw you to any sort of thing, just try to tell a story in these gorgeous plates, right? But it was actually Mephisto, and his idea is he's got to capture the Silver Surfer, right? So he's going to come up with a new scheme, and as he goes here, Silver Surfer is running into another cosmic being, which is Nova, right? And Nova's out trying to find some planets for Galactus. There's another herald. They were both heralds of Galactus, but she is more okay with if Galactus takes lives, right? So they're having a nice moment together, and she finds a planet for Galactus. And then, as she escapes, and she's having a dream while she's going to find Galactus. And it's saying this is coming from Galactus, and he thinks it's a thing of love, and it's actually Mephisto that's trying to take over her mind, right? And Galactus is coming, right? And he's like, hey, she's back. Must have found a world for me, right? And then she starts talking like she's in love with him, but Galactus has no feelings. He only needs and worries about feeding, right? So he's like, and now that he's mad, she's gonna find a planet for him. They find a planet. He goes there with his stuff. Now Byrne had done. Now the planet is like, wait a second, you can't take me. We're gonna attack Galactus, and it means nothing. And I think Byrne had done a Galactus that was supremely hungry, so he just landed and went into the planet. So Buscema did it himself too, which is some nice Joe Kubert type panels. He goes in there. So this is just like Walter Simonson. He did use 3 panels for that instead of staying all splash pages. And we see the planet. And I think, a friend of mine said it can waste some energies when he doesn't use his machines. But she has obviously having a cold moment while this happens. And then Galactus is like, I still create more. You have to keep searching, right? So then the people who have lost their world, the Silver Surfer kind of consoles them, right? And there's another world, right? And Noah finds another world and makes the call to Galactus. And now Silver Surfer's here, of course, which is, I'm not really a fan of him trying to stop it, but he's kind of trying to point out something to her. And he's like, he's only there to serve Galactus. They start getting into a battle, right? Shooting at each other. then Galactus is really upset, right? Surfer is messing things up. And he said at this point, they can't use this planet because the way Silver Surfer was doing his stuff, it makes it unfit for his absorption. So they're exiled to this planet right now, right? Both of them, right? And he'll decide when they can leave. So now that they're stuck, Mephisto comes and he says, I'll get you guys off for your immortal soul, right? And Silver Surfer's like, no, of course not. I'm not going for it. And there's nothing he can do about it. They're stuck on this planet, but he's not making a deal. And then Nova realized that Mephisto tricked her, so she tries to use her power. But at the same time, no, she actually calls Galactus, right? So Silver Surfer is being tortured. And this is what Mephisto wants, for Galactus to come. Came and reclaimed his herald, and then he goes inside to fight Galactus. Wow, this is some magical stuff here. And we get cosmic cataclysm. The planet's getting destroyed through this battle. And then we get this nice splash page. Right? So Mephisto is a person of messing with your mind and your soul, and trying to keep Galactus in this demon-like place. And next you know, he said, he's like, Mephisto's fighting a way he can't match. I'm Galactus, I do what I do. He said, you can't absorb this energy. He says, you know, it's like, he's going to try to absorb this area. So you know it's not going to work, right? So instead of testing it out, Mephisto's like, let them all go. And then Galactus is moving on. And even the idea of friendship is not something that's foreign to Galactus, but he's like letting Silver Surfer go. This was another shot that was used for the for ad for this one, which is another really gorgeous shot, right? And we had this great cover by Joe Jusko, right? So yeah, there we go. We got that one in. Oh wow! So this is gonna go a little bit longer because we got 2 to go. We're gonna quickly go through the Man of Steel. I've kind of torched this in my last one. We're gonna do not Man of Steel. This is Death of Superman. Sometimes I'm just rolling. I'm talking too quickly for myself, right? So we get this nice shot, right? Nice shot of them facing off. This would be, in my mind, the only really good shot in here, right? Because this is during the Image period. And during the Image period, he was doing full-on, I guess, you know, these kind of wacky splash pages. So you can't really see, like, the same, but way that Buscema handled it, where we see Byrne handled it, kind of keep the storytelling going so your eye could follow. Same as Walter Simonson, but that made it even go quicker. See, John Buscema kind of did it as plates, not killing himself about the storytelling, but keeping the flow so things don't go left. And then when we see this, there's a lot of sort of jump cuts, right? So we don't see this in the way they're fighting each other easily go to him throwing him in there. So we're just kind of, this would be, I would say, for technically, it's more like jump cuts. So it's going from there to getting to Superman. This is kind of really awkward. A lot of stuff foreshortened, but this shows you how strong he is. This is the one of the few that kind of works. Him throwing him into the helicopters. Jimmy, we got Superman's people. What Superman utilize that. Oh yeah, this is pretty good. Even though this one's an awkward shot, we have toss into here, which is decent storytelling. Oh, this is good. Then Superman at the same time is able to help them instead of the usual helicopter falls to the ground and then Doomsday's destroying stuff. This kind of, it's kind of awkward, but easy connection from here to here. Superman kind of saying what might be is goodbye. Sort of the placement of the characters are kind of awkward, but not sure where Jimmy is in comparison to her. He's down on the ground, but we got the Wolverine shot, but it's Superman in here, so we can get side stuff, and then the nutty stuff here, him flying up, then going down. So, right, and this is a nice shot here, right? This is a really cool shot, right? Even though Superman is way far, so it's a big jump cut, right? So, Superman is, well, they are trying to report in this dangerous area, and Superman is going right for the junk, but he decides to hit him in the behind. So the way his shot was going up is kind of awkward, right? It's going this way, then he's turned around. Then this angle here is kind of crazy. That's okay, but they're so far away, right? But it shows that this is just kind of going full on image, kind of giving you what image would give you in a comic book, right? And Superman, I think they've kind of done away with Byrne and the aura thing, but Superman's able to break these things by touching the bones. He's able to hurt him by cracking the one on his knee. While they're punching each other, it's cracking, shattering the glass. So here, just remember what's going on here. The other knee has this going towards Superman. Now, every time they've redone the story in animation and movies, we see one of these protruding bones, cut into Superman, right? Instead of them killing each other by bashing each other. And I still say John Bogdanove might have done a better version of this. Superman. But from this shot here, it looks like they both kill each other. So at the same time, it's okay that Superman killed him because, and this is, well, that's kind of wacky, but this shot's pretty good. That's good too. All right. See people see it on TV. The infamous Bloodwind, who the Doomsday punched and he just exploded, is still alive, right? And Superman has died, right? You see it goes from this one, the day Superman died, and then she comes to hold him, right? So I said I had one more that leads to the memorable World Without Superman and the Reign of Superman. I told you I was going to give you one more. We got one from the great Frank Miller, right? Frank Miller saying he's doing a Christmas story with Marv, the whole splash pages, or mostly splash pages, right? So we start, it's obviously snowing. We got the snow on the cover, colors by Lynn Varley, right? We got Marv walking. Now you see there are no captions here, so there's nothing to slow us down, right? He's doing a almost silent story, and we get to see these cool shots of Marv, right? But we're just kind of compelled to go forward. And the storytelling is really decent in this one. It just moves too quickly, right? So we see him walking. The storytelling is, it's really clean. Him walking, right? Scaring the guy, going past. Here we got a couple panels, right? Gets to the basement, expecting some money for it. Gets to see the girl. Right, so he's not holding himself to do a totally silent and totally just doing panels. And I know it's called chiaroscuro, but I like to say it's easy to understand it's really dramatic lighting. Marv is ready. He takes out these guys. Takes out this woman. And the storytelling this is really amazing, right? I think a lot of people didn't like because it wasn't a lot of story here, but just a visually strong piece. And the storytelling is really good in this. He's gonna get Kimberly home, right? And Marv walks out and see kind of the nice storytelling here to here, and that's it. So it's not truly a silent story. It's not truly a all splash pages. This is, I think, one of the first Sin City things I've done here, but it's a good way to end. Great storytelling with captions. This was similar to that. Only thing is it needs some captions to really slow things down because the art is so amazing, right? This one is great because it has a lot of dialogue, a lot of action, and it slows you down. This just gorgeous, a graphic novel, and it doesn't have to, he didn't kill himself. It's trying to have the storytelling look where you go from one shot to the other. This is sort of the jump cuts, but at the same time, it's just like a nice visual piece that kind of flows together without killing yourself on storytelling. And this one, man, the Superman one, kind of jumps back and forth because the image stuff is so big at this time. It means it allowed Dan Jurgens to draw whatever he thought was the coolest shots ever. So, I mean, it's one of the best-selling comic books of the 90s. You know, I guess X-Men still, but it's still up there. And, you know, having the image aspect of doing, you know, panels that don't really utilize storytelling is kind of full-on 90s stuff. So you get kind of these aspects where Miller's one goes back to classic storytelling. So that's it, me doing over my thing. And I guess that's about it. I won't do it a third time, but spin rack out.